By Monday morning, a woman named Marnie in the county assessor's office is going to have your exact home address pulled up on a screen, at Deb's request, checking it against a filing you have spent 4 years hoping nobody would ever have a reason to ask about. You don't know that yet. Right now, all you know is Deb just handed you a beer and asked if you can believe what the landlord did to the Whitfields. Deb hands you a beer, the label already peeling from condensation, and says, "Can you believe the landlord did that to the Whitfields? $90 a month." In this economy, she sets down the same store-bought potato salad she brings to every single block party this cul-de-sac has ever had, still in the deli container, the sticker half peeled off, and waits for you to agree with her the way everyone always agrees with her. Somewhere behind her, a speaker is playing something low enough to talk over, and 3 kids from down the street are running some version of tag through the yards that keeps crossing property lines. Nobody at this party thinks about as property lines. You own 3 of the 6 houses on this street through an LLC that lists your own home address as the registered agent, a detail buried in a filing nobody on this block has ever had a reason to search for. The Whitfields' house is one of the 3. You are, in the most literal sense available, the landlord Deb is talking about, standing 4 feet from her in your own backyard, holding a beer she just handed you, agreeing that $90 does sound like a lot in this economy. I mean, who even is this landlord, Deb says, not really asking, just building momentum the way she always does. Some LLC. No name on anything. You call the number, you get a property manager who just says he's passing along what he's told. She's not wrong about any of that. She's just wrong about who's 4 feet away holding the beer. You bought this house, the one you're standing in the backyard of right now, 11 years ago. A normal purchase for a normal reason. Wanting a yard, wanting a street with block parties. The Whitfields' house came 4 years later. Foreclosure auction. A property nobody else in the room that day seemed to want because the roof needed work and the previous owner had let the yard go feral. You paid cash, fixed the roof yourself, and rented it out at a number that felt fair at the time and has felt fair every year since, adjusted only when the county forced your hand. 14 came 2 years after that. Then the 2 across town, a slow accumulation nobody watching from the outside would call a strategy. Just a person who kept noticing which properties on which streets were quietly underpriced and had the patience to wait them out. Frank ambles past with a fresh beer, taps his bottle against yours without breaking stride, says something about the game last night, and keeps walking toward the grill. You'll talk to him properly in a few minutes. Right now he's just background noise, the same way you are to him. The number is real. $90 a month, not $900, $90, tied to a county reassessment last spring that pushed this block's property values up around 11%, which pushed the taxes up with it. The actual, boring, defensible reason the Whitfields' rent went from $1,410 to $1,500 starting next month? You approved it yourself, from a spreadsheet, on a Tuesday, and you know the property tax bill increased by more than the rent increase covers, which means you are, technically, still absorbing part of the cost yourself. None of that is a sentence you can say out loud at a block party holding a beer Deb just handed you. You could correct her. Not even the whole truth, just enough of it. A sentence like, "It's probably a tax thing. Landlords don't usually do that kind of increase for no reason," would be true, would sound reasonable, and would not require you to say the word "I" even once. You open your mouth to say some version of that, and Deb keeps talking before you get the chance, already moved on to how the Whitfields are thinking about breaking the lease. How Marcus down at 14 said his rent's never gone up $1 in 6 years, and maybe that's the guy to rent from, not knowing 14 is also yours. You turn the unsaid sentence over anyway, running the version where Deb asks one natural follow-up question. Something as simple as, "How would you know that?" And the whole thing collapses into something you can't walk back at a party with 12 people standing within earshot. You've run that exact collapse in your head before, at other parties, and it has never once actually happened, and you are no longer sure if that's luck or evidence that you're being too careful. The portfolio, all 3 houses on this block plus 2 more across town, sits at just over $4,100,000 in combined value, a number that has never once come up at a block party and is not about to start tonight. $4,100,000. and the fact currently under discussion, out loud, in your own backyard, is $90. Frank from 2 doors down wanders over with a paper plate of ribs and says, completely sincerely, that landlords like that ought to be illegal, jacking up rent whenever they feel like it. You ask him what a fair landlord would look like to him. He thinks about it, genuinely thinks about it, and says probably somebody local, somebody who actually has to look you in the eye. You are, at this exact moment, looking him in the eye. You tell him that's probably right. He nods, satisfied, and goes to get more ribs. You spend the next 20 minutes doing the math you always do in situations like this, except this time there's no version of the math that resolves cleanly. If you say something now, tonight, in front of Deb and Frank and whoever else is standing near the cooler, it isn't a private disclosure anymore. It's the kind of thing that gets repeated at the next 4 block parties whether you want it to or not. If you say nothing, Deb keeps building a version of you in her head that has never once matched the actual person standing in front of her, and you keep letting her. You catch yourself, twice, actually starting a sentence, getting as far as "the thing is" before the conversation moves somewhere else entirely on its own, without your help, which feels less like relief than it probably should. Somebody 2 yards over yells that the burgers are almost ready, and Deb hollers back that she's coming, grabbing one more deviled egg off the folding table before she does, giving you exactly 4 seconds where neither of you is required to say anything at all. Your neighbor's kid, running past with a foam sword, nearly knocks over the cooler, and for a second everyone's attention scatters toward that instead, and you think, this could be it. This could be the moment the conversation just naturally ends. It isn't. Deb rights the cooler herself, laughs it off, and picks the thread right back up like it never dropped, asking whether anyone's actually looked into what the LLC's called, whether that's the kind of thing you can find out from the county website on your phone right now, standing here. You genuinely do not know, in this moment, whether you want her to look it up or not. Part of you wants the whole thing over with, the strange 4-year performance of agreeing with your own tenant's advocate finally collapsing into something honest. Part of you knows exactly what happens after that, the slow recalibration in 12 different faces at the next 12 parties, and that part wins, the way it has won every single time before tonight, though you notice, standing here, that it wins by a slightly smaller margin than it used to. You think about the Whitfields specifically, a young couple, both work retail schedules that never quite line up, the kind of tenants who pay on the first without you ever having to think about them, which is the only kind of feedback a landlord who isn't visible ever actually gets. $90 a month is real money to them, in a way it will never be real money to you, and you approved it anyway, because the alternative was eating a tax increase indefinitely on a property that needs a new water heater within the year. Deb is still talking, now about a petition, whether the neighborhood association could pressure the LLC to reverse it, whether anyone even knows how to find out who's behind an LLC like that. You tell her you think that information is public record if anyone wanted to look, which is true, and also the single most dangerous sentence you've said all night. Deb's face does something you don't like, a small brightening, the look of a woman who just remembered she has a resource. Marnie, she says, my cousin. She's over at the county assessor's. She could probably just pull it Monday when she's back in. She's already reaching for her phone to text herself a reminder, thumbs moving fast, not looking up. Registered agent, right? That's the thing you search? You tell her that sounds right, evenly, the same voice you've used all night, while doing math you have never once had to do at a party before. The filing lists this exact address, the 3 houses down the block from where the 2 of you are standing right now. Marnie won't need anything more complicated than the online portal every county in this state makes available to anyone who asks, and Monday is 2 days away. You rent or own? Deb asks you. At some point, between the potato salad and the ribs, an ordinary question at an ordinary party. You tell her you own, which is true in a way she has no context for, and she nods, satisfied, moves on to asking whether your gutters need cleaning too, because hers do, and this is apparently the actual subject of the evening now, gutters. And the landlord conversation dissolves the way most conversations at a block party eventually dissolve, into something smaller and easier. You spend the rest of the party doing what you always do, which is nothing, The same nothing you've done for 4 years, agreeing with Deb about a landlord who is, structurally, sitting in her own backyard drinking the beer she handed him. Except tonight, the nothing has a deadline attached to it that none of it ever has before. Frank passes by again on his way to his car, claps you once on the shoulder, tells you it was good seeing you. Still no idea he spent 20 minutes earlier tonight describing you to your own face. The number, $90, drifts off into gutter talk and somebody's dog getting into the chip bowl the way it always does. But the reminder on Deb's phone doesn't drift anywhere. It just sits there, waiting for Monday, the same way you are. Deb sets her potato salad container by the trash can on her way out, same as always, half empty, same brand, same peeling sticker, and tells you this was fun, same as she tells you every single time. And you tell her it was, and you mean it. And that's the whole strange arithmetic of the evening, that both of those things are true at once. That you can genuinely enjoy an evening with someone whose entire understanding of you, on the one subject that would change everything, is wrong. She hugs you goodbye the way she hugs everyone goodbye, tells you to have somebody look at those gutters before the fall, checks her phone once on the way down the driveway, the reminder still sitting there under Monday, and heads toward her own house, 3 doors from the Whitfields, close enough that whatever Marnie finds will reach this block within the hour of her finding it. Here's what nobody standing around that cooler tonight would guess if you asked them to draw a picture of a landlord. Somebody older, probably. Somebody who doesn't live nearby. Somebody in a nicer car than anyone on this block. Somebody you'd recognize as a landlord the second you saw them, the way Frank was so sure he'd know one if he met one. Nobody pictures a guy holding a beer somebody else handed him, agreeing that $90 does sound like a lot in this economy, nodding along to a petition against himself, worried about the same water heater his tenants are hoping doesn't break before winter. The landlord isn't hiding behind the LLC because he's ashamed of it. He's standing at the grill, 4 houses down from where the complaint started, flipping a burger for the exact people building a case against him, and for 4 years nobody at this party has had a single reason to look twice at who was holding the tongs. Next month the rent goes up $90. The property tax bill goes up more than that, and somewhere on a spreadsheet nobody at this party will ever see, both of those numbers sit quietly next to a total that has nothing to do with any conversation that happened here tonight, and everything to do with why it never needed to. You lock the back door around midnight, the last chair folded, the last car gone, and you don't check your own phone the way Deb checked hers, because there's nothing on it to check yet, just Monday, sitting 2 days out, closer than it was this morning. You don't know what Marnie finds, or when Deb calls to tell you about it, or whether she'll even recognize the address on the filing as the one she was just standing in the backyard of. You know the number now, the same way you've always known it, $4,100,000. Except tonight, for the first time in 4 years, it comes with a date attached.